I was helping Grandma with her computer, kneeling behind her desk, untangling printer cables, when the baby monitor on her bookshelf flickered to life. The screen showed my sister, Natalie, and her husband, Garrett, in the living room directly below. They were signing to each other in ASL. My hands went completely still. I understood every word, even though Natalie had no idea I could. The nursing home costs will drain her account in 6 months. Natalie signed with a chillingly excited expression. And we'll get everything. Garrett signed back, asking about the dementia diagnosis timeline. Natalie's response made my blood run cold. Grandma's doctor was already documenting cognitive decline, and they just needed to accelerate the process before anyone else noticed what was happening. I stayed frozen, watching through the monitor as my sister casually discussed destroying our grandmother's life like she was planning a vacation. What made this worse was that I'd specifically learned ASL because of them. When I was 16, Natalie had encouraged me to learn so we could have private conversations at family gatherings, using it for years to coordinate surprises. But 3 years ago, Natalie had abruptly stopped signing with me, using it exclusively with Garrett. I'd assumed she wanted couple communication, but watching her now, I realized she'd been planning something much darker and had deliberately excluded me. My sister had spent 3 years building a secret language fortress, and I just accidentally breached the walls. Through the monitor, Natalie signed that Grandma had recently updated her will to split her $800,000 equally between us. But Natalie smiled hideously as she signed that if they could get Grandma into an expensive nursing home, they could become her financial power of attorney due to her documented cognitive decline. This would allow them to redirect the money by investing in high-cost facilities and care that would quickly deplete the funds, a perfectly legal move. This wasn't just about stealing an inheritance. It was about systematically draining our grandmother's entire life savings while she was still alive. I realized with growing horror that I was hearing this conversation because Grandma had asked me to set up that baby monitor 2 weeks ago. I wondered if she had suspected something and was trying to catch evidence herself. The monitor was positioned perfectly to capture the couch where they always sat. I pulled out my phone with trembling hands and started recording the monitor screen, capturing Natalie's hands as she signed about which nursing homes had the highest monthly costs and the shortest waiting lists. She was literally shopping for the most expensive option, not because Grandma needed the care, but because it would drain her money faster. Then Natalie signed something that made me want to throw up. Grandma's recent memory issues were actually being caused by the sleeping medication Natalie had been giving her. The pills were creating confusion and disorientation that mimicked early dementia symptoms, which is exactly what they needed for the power of attorney paperwork. My sister wasn't just planning to exploit Grandma's decline. She was actively causing it with medication. This was medical assault, and I was watching it unfold through a baby monitor while my grandmother sat downstairs completely unaware. I recorded for another 3 minutes, documenting how long this abuse had been ongoing. I kept recording as my mind spun. Was that why Grandma had seemed more confused lately, forgetting conversations and repeating herself more than usual? I recorded for another 3 minutes before Natalie and Garrett stood up to leave. I quickly stopped the recording and shoved my phone into my pocket. That's when I heard footsteps on the stairs. That's when things got a lot worse.